found this old film. There's an entire world captured in these reels, frame by frame. Another time, another place. Not so long ago, all I could have done with these is project them on the wall and watch. Now, through the digital media technology, I get to go inside the screen and recreate the world anew. Let me show you what I made from inside the Brotherhood reel. Do you remember the old days? Sitting in front of a screen, mesmerised by the frames flashing by, engaging in someone else's imagined world. During these early days of cinema, our position in front of the screen was set. We became watchers, voyeurs of someone else's dream.
Cut. Reload. That's a complicated looking machine, isn't it? Funny thing is, a lot of people still think that taking home movies is that complicated too. If that were true, believe me, I wouldn't take them. For instance, he's reloading the film. Let me show you how easy Kodak has made it for you and me with a Kodak Instamatic movie camera. You finish one roll of film, drop another one in, you're all set. How you doing, Charlie? Taking home movies couldn't be much easier than that, could it?
By the middle of last century, we began to feel the stirrings to imagine our own worlds. Basic recording equipment, still and Super 8 cameras, projectors, as well as reel-to-reel audio recorders, started to become more affordable. As some of us became restless sitting motionless in our cinema seats, we wanted to see what the other side of the screen looked like. Slowly, the home entertainment consumer was born. The process of home movie making was laborious and expensive, but it was possible, for the first time in history, for us to pick up cameras and record our daily lives, to play back to family and friends.
As every mother knows, and fathers too, youngsters grow up much too fast. That's why every family needs a Kodak Instamatic movie camera. The camera that's so easy to load and so easy to use. Outdoors or in, even a busy mother can do it. It takes the brightest, sharpest home movies ever. Like these Super 8 movies actually taken with an Instamatic movie camera and projected with a Kodak Instamatic projector. Right now, with Christmas close at hand, we'd like to remind fathers everywhere, there's no finer gift for any wife this Christmas than a Kodak Instamatic movie camera all her own. It costs less than $40 and can save the joy of Christmas and happy months to come.
As liberating as this was, this ability to create media was still concentrated in the realm of conventional power structures. It was usually a white middle-class father pointing the camera at his smiling family. But sometimes, when father wasn't looking, the teenagers would take control and mimic the films coming out of the big Hollywood studios. A select few of us became home movie makers. Then we knew about both sides of the two-dimensional screen. These moving images do have a unique power to speak to us across time. They hold vitality, energy, captured from their subjects, and keep it there, pure, for us future watchers to connect with. Moving images are unique among all human achievements for their ability to capture, preserve, and carry the past, rebirthing it again and again into the future. This is particularly so for the genre of documentary, due to its close relationship with actual events.
Follow the crowd, get the big money. You make a pile and raise a pile. That makes another pile for you. Follow the crowd. We've reached 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. Watch us grow, going up. It's new, it's automatic. It dictates, records, seals, sterilizes, stamps, and delivers in one operation without human hand. What am I bid? What am I offered? Sold. Who's next?
We sit and watch a documentary and we bear witness to the amazing places that the filmmakers have been, and we see the way that they've seen the world. We learn about the universe and other people's lives. We examine them in search of the common soul of humanity. Documentary is unique. It offers enjoyment through both entertainment and learning. And as we move deeper into the wilds of the 21st century, documentary is making the transition into the digital realm. The potential for digital documentary is enormous. Like the excitement generated by the newness of moving pictures during the 1880s and 90s, the advent of digital video as a mass media phenomena in the first decade of the 21st century has created a new set of challenges for how we create, watch, and think about moving images. New media theorist Lev Manovich tells us that image capture and early computer processing equipment appeared around the same time at the beginning of the 19th century. They continued to evolve in parallel with each other until their paths finally converged in 1984 on a screen of a Macintosh. This was the first computer to incorporate a graphical user interface. Then, during the 1990s, the internet caught our attention and all culture past and present came to be filtered through a computer. The human-computer interface was born. We began a new, curious relationship with the screen. The digital realm allows us access to watch movies and TV from and in places and times previously inaccessible. We can stream or download or share them with others. We can comment and rate them and use them in any which way we like. We are now apt users of media. So we replace our TV remotes with a mouse and search the space of flows for entertainment experiences that engage, immerse us in the same magical ways that cinema and TV do. We look for story worlds to far-off places. But instead of a space where story flows, we find a fragmented experience that requires our full attention and curiosity to progress. How can we sit back and forget ourselves in the story world, like we do in our favourite movie, when the screen is constantly calling us to sit forward and come in to play with it? It turns out that unlike the deep psychological immersion of the cinema or television screen, the computer screen is not a comfortable place to sit and actually watch all of this media. The experience of watching video on a computer screen breaks the stream of flow. We want to interact, but there's no allowance for this in traditional storytelling. And if we try to interact, we lose the immersion into the story world. We want to interact, but there's no allowance for this in traditional storytelling. And if we try to interact, we lose the immersion into the story world. Lev Manovich reminds us that the very first program machine, developed around 1800, was J.M. Jacquard's punched paper card loom. This machine was automatically controlled to not compute numbers, but to weave images, portraits, flowers, and leaves. This very first computer was not intended for mathematical processes, but actually allowed the user to create their own works of art. Create works of art? Isn't that what we have the ability to do with digital media? Whether they are mashups of already existing work or our own original creations, can't we begin to fully utilize the potential of the digital realm by using it to create our own entertainment? We're so much more than users of this technology. We are creators of new visions for new worlds. And so, like those Super 8 pioneers of last century who wanted to experience the other side of the screen by creating their own movies, we now, en masse, have this accessibility to create our own digital media and share it with the world. Even though it's always fun to sit back and watch TV and cinema, we are no longer confined to simply bearing witness to the exciting journey portrayed by a professional documentary filmmaker. We can jump into the screen, the space of flows, and create our own amazing documentary journey to any part of the world. And so, this film is about doing this, connecting with pictures from the past to create new versions of personally imagined realms that can be shared with the world. It's about the incredibly immersive experience of creating digital documentary. Good segue, because that is where we're going next. Let's go, put your coat on. Where we're going, it's winter time.
Sound rolling. Sound rolling. Camera rolling. Roll 6, scene 8.
Now I want your full attention. This is the most important moment in your life. You're all involved in a world problem. I want you to come with me shortly and you will see for yourselves what the answer is. This is an individual problem, this world problem, and we have solved our share of it. If you wish to know the how and the why and the wherefore, come with me and we will show you.
That was the best.
Welcome to Bailing Up, Western Australia, winter 1978. You just met Fred, and this is his vision of the Universal Brotherhood Community. I'm glad you could join me here because this is it, the place where it started, where my remarkable journey began. I don't mean that I'm from here. At this time in the real world, I'm 18 months old and living over in Adelaide. But this isn't the real world that I've brought you to. It's an imagining of a world. I'll never really know what actually went on in the Universal Brotherhood. It's not my intention to judge it for righteousness or depravity. All I can do is look at this old film, piece it together and try to imagine what it must have been like. This is the story about the world I call Universal Brotherhood. This is the truth of what I imagined there. It's easy for us to take this journey for granted, but think about it. A few years ago I couldn't have done this. It's through the ability for us to access the knowledge, skills and technology once only available to professional filmmakers that this is possible. I'm no professional, but through the ability to digitise and work with things like old film, sound reels, photographs and slides, I've been able to come here myself, and now bring you here with me. Motionless pictures are now moving again, and the worlds contained within have been reawakened. Whereas once we could only have experienced screen worlds that the big studios and TV networks made for us, now, with a bit of imagination, skills and knowledge, freely accessible on the web, we can easily create our own worlds. So why have I brought you here? For me, this place, the Universal Brotherhood Community, represents the first stirrings of our realisation that there was an optimal experience for us to be had in creating our own worlds. This is long before our digital era. It was a time of record players, Super 8 cameras and reel-to-reel audio, hard, physical media. The thought of me and you making films and sharing them with the world with the click of a few buttons was incomprehensible. Creating your own vision in this world wasn't so easy, and it meant a lot of hard physical work and money. I could tell you many stories about the Universal Brotherhood. God-loving, pioneering, self-sufficient, self-educating, organic farmers, bartering, vegetarian teetotalers. Most of them with an artistic vision for music, painting, crafting, creating. These people were ahead of their time, innovators and pioneers doing things that for 1978 were odd and unusual to onlookers. Many of these things today we accept as normal. These young adventurers had grown out of suburban life, sitting back, watching their parents' world deteriorate around them. They felt called to join Fred's vision to create a better world of their own.
Change so many times, another change was due. Glad to see you now.
It's no trouble whatever to grow ample food, clothing, shelter. We build our own houses, we grow our own food, we take the wool and spin and we can make our own clothes. As at the moment some of these are bought, but as soon as there's any difficulty about buying anything, we have ample for our children, food, clothing and shelter, the basic necessities of life. No money involved in it.
While we're here, I'd like to tell you a bit more about Fred, because it was his vision that led the way. In one way or another, every one of these people were here to share in Fred's vision of a new world. In fact, it's probably what brought me here too.
The whole world is upside down in its values, completely upside down. There's an old saying, the devil is God, upside down. And that's exactly what is wrong with the world. They've all been drugged and hypnotised and mesmerised into accepting utterly false values. And so your world is upside down. This part of the world insists on being right side up.
Fred's concern for the demise of the modern world surfaced during the Great Depression of the 1930s. After losing everything, including his family, he spent the next 30 years travelling the country, searching for the spiritual answers to the world's economic, moral and ethical problems. By the early 1970s, and now approaching 80, he'd found allies in a new wife Mary and young advocate Stephen. Together, they set about creating their vision for the new world.
We have got control of 317 acres of God's good earth. All produce is organically grown. The atmosphere is as pure as you can get anywhere. The water isn't poisoned. Nothing is poisoned. We refuse to have poison on the property, whether it's mind, body or soul. We are responsible for whether the children are brought up under your present education system, which is obviously wrong, where morals and ethics and everything else is concerned, wrong motives. And the whole purpose of this work is to bring the children up in a man-made Garden of Eden.
They're all doing the brotherhood real, doing the brotherhood real. It can really make you feel good, doing the brotherhood real.
By this time, 1978, the community was at the height of its success. Having been in operation for most of the 1970s, it was so successful that seekers were drawn from the other side of the world.
They're all doing the brotherhood real.
Which reminds me, have I introduced you to my camera crew? Got Rock on sound, Kathy's the clapper loader, and Deacon, he's behind the camera. They're a key part of this place. These three travelled from the States in hope of capturing the essence of the Universal Brotherhood for a featured docudrama film. Despite spending so much time and effort on shooting this film, the project was never completed.
Sound on. Camera on.
Roll 17, scene 2.
Through a myriad of serendipitous events, this uncut, unused 16mm film made it into my hands. After sitting in storage in the USA for 32 years, it, step by step, found a way to see the light of day again here. It's a great story. Let's tell it to you someday. Our cameraman, he didn't make it to our time, so this is the only place where our paths will ever cross. Deacon, it's nice to meet you and work with you here. Thanks for all your hard work, and I hope my recut of your vision of the Universal Brotherhood works in some way for you. Actually, Deacon was in a privileged position here. In a time when the cards were held by a select few in the media production industry, he seemingly had the funds, the equipment, not to mention the specialised skills and knowledge, to be able to even think about capturing the Universal Brotherhood in a feature film. Not to mention the post-production and distribution hurdles that the project never made it over. In comparison, it's so easy and cheap to do this now. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't. Anyway, in the years following this time, the community grew smaller. Fred died in 1983, and his vision of the Universal Brotherhood began to fade. The many people who once lived there took their creative visions for a better world back into suburban life. And from there, these expanded ideas on how to live transpired into an accepted vision for many of us. It's probably best that we return to our own time now. We've spent long enough here. The Universal Brotherhood was a place I found where the people dissatisfied with their suburban life found engagement in creating a new and improved world of their own. This so-called utopian dream wasn't a waste of time because of its ultimate demise. Its success was as an expression of human creative vision and achievement that's affected our contemporary lifestyle in many ways. Its success is that it reconnects passers-by like me to my own creativity, invites me to imagine my own personal alternate reality, and inspires projects like this one. Whatever else they may have been, Fred and his Universal Brotherhood were innovators, pioneers and adventurers on their own creative journey. And for me, that is what is worth remembering. These people weren't content to sit on the bank and watch the mainstream flow by them. They jumped in and created their own tributaries, alternate streams of flow. That's the real value of revisiting the Brotherhood, especially in this time where we have the power to create and share our own ideas and stories with the world. We no longer have to sit on the bank and passively watch the media flow by us. We can jump in and create our own alternate screens of flow. So that is the truth of the world that I have imagined here for you, from inside this screen. And it is only an imagining. I wasn't there in Bailing Up 1978. My door in has been through people's memories and archives. I've spent many years observing this world, but I'm not an authority on what happened. I'm an observer. Over the years, I've spoken to many who were involved with the Brotherhood, and I listened to their stories. I made a film about these conversations in 2004.
Wonderful individuals, and we came and we all united. We were magnetized to this vision, to this Christic vision.
Of course, there is no one all-encompassing reality of what went on in the Universal Brotherhood. I made this film in 2004. And then in 2009, ABC Television's Compass made their film. But they're not an authority either. These are all simply constructions of imagined worlds, not the reality of what went on. The only absolute truth is that the absolute truth doesn't exist. Each one of these people will tell you a different story about what the Universal Brotherhood was. Not because they're lying, but because memories, people are fluid and dynamic. They fade, brighten and distort over time. They're highly subjective. We're all individual, ever-changing systems affected by circumstance in different ways. Not replication machines, static, objective, unmoving. And that's the great thing about archives, which are created by machines. An individual may have captured them, but they hold true to their original spirit forever. And this is the great thing about digital media documentary. This is the new dimension of documentary, media, flow. We all have the tools and power to create our own constructions of reality, to share our own unique vision with the world. There are no more gatekeepers, no broadcaster, no Kodak film processing labs, and no white men with absolute control over the means of mass media production. Flow is democratized, and we can all enter it as individual creators, spreading a diversity of ideas as we share our reality with a wide, possibly huge audience, or just with ourselves. And that audience can either kick back and enjoy our reality, or lean forward and recut it into another reality of their own. This experience of creating this digital media documentary has been a flow experience for me. All the sifting, exploring and sorting through boxes of old community archives, digitizing, enhancing, re-editing, it's been so incredibly immersive for me. And best of all, I didn't have to strain my eyes wearing 3D glasses to adjust my vision for someone else's dream. I've been playing in my own. I've presented this as a traditional documentary to try and show you just how physically and psychologically immersive it is here. But you'll need to give it a go yourself sometime. Get inside the screen and create. I invite you to recut this film if you feel so inclined. Create another Universal Brotherhood world that matters to you. Or find a subject from another time and place and explore it in every way you can, and then share it online. Every photo, sound recording, newspaper article or letter you see is a moment in time, captured, frozen. Find enough of these moments and I know that you'll feel it too. It's just like being there.